Aori was a normal high schooler living in modern-day Japan, where he spent his life in peace with his younger sister. But everything changes when his sister gets a chronically deadly disease with no cure known to man. The cost of treatment is so high that Aori couldn't even dream about paying the fee with a normal part-time job, so instead he turns towards the world of social media in the hopes of getting a quick buck. Unfortunately, he is not a mediocre-looking girl with an attitude problem who can post some thirst traps and start earning millions, so he was forced to find a new niche for himself. He decides to become a hated YouTuber who everyone watched because they hated him so much and wanted him to pay for everything that he has done till now. His social media presence started growing as he would call out professional respected fighters and then jump them on camera, beating the shit out of them without any respect and spit on them before running away like a coward. This really irritated the viewers, who used to call him a coward piece of crap who can't win a fair fight. But Aori didn't really care for it, as it simply used to increase his viewer retention and other analytics. Most recently, he jumped a very beloved MMA content creator and beat the crap out of him with deceit before running away from the police. This has been the talk of the town as he overhears everyone talking about how this piece of shit Jake Paul-esque YouTuber needs to get his ass whooped. Aori doesn't care though, and simply goes through his comments and finds a burning hatred for himself in his own comments section. But it doesn't matter as he laughs and checks his revenue, which is through the roof at this point. Soon he gets off at the next station and enters the hospital where his sister has been admitted for a while now. He finds her staring at her phone, so he tells her to lay down and rest for a while. Akari responds by saying that she was resting the whole day and now she wants to talk to him and asks where he was. He can't really tell her about his money-making scheme, so he lies that he had some things that he needed to deal with and he was a little busy with that. He hands her a bag of sweets, but Akari knows that he has a weak spot when it comes to sweets and asks how many has he had today. At first Aori lies and replies that he had 3. But Akari is not so easily fooled and tells him to reveal the truth, and Aori replies that he had 6 cakes before coming here. Akari scolds him, claiming that he needs to be more careful with his health and should limit himself to 1 sweet a day, and starts asking whether he is ever taking care of himself, or he is pulling all-nighters again and not doing any laundry. Soon she starts eating her piece of cake, but even that is too much for her and she starts coughing, which scares Aori and he runs to call the nurse. But Akari stops him, claiming that she is going to be okay. Akari doesn't know why her body is refusing to work with her, but Aori tells him not to lose any hope as their trip to us is in a month, and there a super doctor will have a look at her and deal with any issues she has. Akari is not sure though, as she has heard about the medical bills in the US for a band-aid, but her brother tells her not to worry as he has everything under his control and money won't be an issue thanks to his well-paying side gig. Later that day, he thinks about the days at the orphanage when the old warden used to teach all the orphans there to always do the right thing no matter how difficult it may be. But Aori has gone completely against it. If there was a way to earn good money with hard work, he would do that. But unfortunately, he never had the opportunity to attend a good school, and the only thing he has is a tough body which is good at fights. He thinks about how he has gone against everything he was taught at the orphanage, but he doesn't really care as he is ready to burn the entire world if it means that he can save Akari. A month passes by since that day and Aori had been completely inactive on his social media account, and word on the street is that either he got killed by an angry mobster or he has completely retired. Aori, however, is not dead and is doing well in his one-room apartment, eating pudding cups from a general store and talking to Akari on his phone, asking whether she would want some. Akari replies that she would love to have some chocolate pudding, so Aori promises to bring some when he comes to visit her again. He seems content with his life and soon heads off to sleep with the phone in his hand, which I can relate to. Later in the night, while he was having some pleasant dreams, he is suddenly woken up by a sudden noise and is horrified to see a figure looming on top of him with a goddamn sledgehammer. The intruder tries to slam the hammer on top of him, but thanks to his quick reflexes, he manages to dodge out of the way. The intruder calls him an asshole for dodging out of range, and follows up with 3 more attacks aiming for the phone in the hands of Aori. Again, Aori manages to dodge out of the way, saving his life with a hair's margin, but ends up dropping his phone at the last moment. This was the moment he realizes that this weirdo robber is not after him, but actually after his phone. Thankfully, he manages to grab his phone before the man could destroy it and starts running away outside the house. Aori decides to run into a well-lit park, hoping to throw off the attacker, and texts Akari about the intruder that just entered his house. Akari continues to text him, telling him to run away and go to the cops. But instead of running or calling the cops, this idiot is talking to his sister on his phone. Before he could do anything else, the intruder catches up to him once again and tries to attack him. But this time Aoi decides to stand his ground and fight back. He blocks the hammer with a kick, which actually surprises the attacker, and then Aoi goes on the counter-attack, which is blocked by the intruder easily. Aoi continues his assault of punches and throws in a kick for good measure. But all his attacks either get dodged or get stopped by the hammer-wielding psychopath easily. The intruder tries to swat the phone out of Aori's hands once again and barely misses. Aoi has no idea what the hell is he after. When the intruder calls out his full name, claiming that he is a YouTuber whose job is posting rage-bait content and trigger little girls and liberal leftists daily for absolutely no reason. He claims that he has watched his videos, but not voluntarily, and openly declares that his videos are disgusting and makes him want to puke up. Hearing this, Aoi thinks that this man is one of those annoyed viewers who decided to take it upon himself to deal with him. So Aoi goes on his knees and apologizes from the bottom of his heart, claiming that all he did was for money and no personal agenda since his sister was really sick. He claims that he has stopped doing all that since his sister got better and claims that he can beat him all he wants, but begs him not to kill him as he wants to help his sister more. He tells him to leave his phone untouched as he is texting his sister right now, who is pretty far away, and he doesn't want to lose touch with her. Before he could even complete his sentence though, the man attacks his phone once again with the hammer. Aoi tells him to back off as he can beat him all he wants. But the man replies that he doesn't care about him and only wants to destroy the phone as quickly as possible. The intruder calms down a little, claiming that Aoi sounds like an insane man right now since his sister has been dead for over a month now. Aoi can't accept that reality and asks if she is dead, then who the hell is he texting with on his phone? It turns out that since America decided to attack Venezuela for absolutely no reason, her flight to America ended up getting cancelled and her health got worse in the next couple of days, leading to her death. Aoi was unable to accept this reality and even missed his own sister's funeral before closing himself in his own house. He kept texting Akari on his phone, begging her to reply, when one day after he was stuffing himself with junk food, he saw the read sign appear on top of his message and got a reply from Akari. He wasn't able to believe his own eyes, but Akari seemed herself as she knew all the things that only she could have known. This made him believe that the person he was talking to was the real Akari, and he refused to believe or hear anyone saying otherwise. Suddenly his phone starts bugging out, and the video feed of Akari appears on his feed as she starts talking to him with tears running down her eyes, asking whether he was okay. Before he could reply though, the intruder manages to swat the phone away from him and slams it with his hammer, while Aoi is too late to grab it safely. To his surprise though, the phone doesn't break, and suddenly a weird menacing energy starts coming out of the device as Akari materializes right in front of him through the phone. Aoi can't believe his own eyes and drops down to his knees with tears streaming down his cheeks, but soon Akari's face twists and turns into a demonic mask with blood running down her eyes as she turns into a demonic being. The intruder immediately tells Aoi to back off, claiming that she is not his sister anymore. He claims that the person he was talking to was a ghost. Earlier ghosts used to get trapped where people spent a lot of their time or had deep emotional connections like beaches, hospitals, toilets, music rooms, but now most of the people spend a majority of their time on their phones, and when they die, a dark part of their spirits gets stuck in their devices forever. When the social media account of a dead person, also known as a dead account, gains sentience, it starts being known as a ghost account, and that's what they are dealing with right now. He claims that now that her ghost has been summoned, he can't really destroy the phone and be done with it, which means he would have to destroy her ghost. But since this is a digitized ghost, the normal weapons won't really work on it, so they have to rely on special spiritual weapon. Just then he takes his phone out and summons a black hammer out of it, and starts beating the crap out of Akari's ghost. Aoi is having a tough time watching all this, but soon the hammer guy manages to overpower the ghost and gets ready to finish it off. He throws his hammer in the sky and rains down a volley of hammers at the ghost, which completely destroy the ghost. With that, he finally gets ready to exorcise the ghost and takes out a new hammer to end it all. But Aoi can't see it and grabs the guy from behind, begging him to let her live as he doesn't care even if she is a ghost. The hammer guy tells him to leave him and shouts at him that everyone in this world has people who die, but it's his job to move on and continue their legacy. This gives the ghost sufficient time to regain its composure, and it slams the hammer guy away into the wall, leaving him incapacitated and unable to move. The hammer guy tells Aori to run away, but instead Aori walks towards his sister and tries to reason with her. To his horror, the ghost is his sister only in the most twisted sense, as it grabs Aori in its teeth and starts chewing on him like a pack of gum. Aori thinks about the life he has lived till date and realizes that it's him that has kept Akari's spirit bounded to this world, and if he dies then her spirit will automatically be freed. But just then he remembers the hammer guy's words about continuing the legacy, and he jumps out of the grasp of the ghost and manages to materialize a weapon out of his phone, which shocks the hammer guy. Aori gets ready for the final combat and stabs his own sister with the blue flame sword that he had, which exorcises the ghost, leaving Aori unconscious on the ground. A little while later, some people from the academy where the hammer guy came from arrive to inspect everything and ask how the hell did Aori defeat her own sister's ghost. The hammer boy reports that Aori has a flame sword. Their leader claims that it's not a big deal to have that, but then the hammer guy reveals that his sword was actually blue. This actually shocks all of them, and the leader immediately tells them that they are taking Aori with them back to the Miden Academy, and whether he survives there and learns or die will depend on him. When Aori finally wakes up the next morning, he finds himself in a strange room which he assumes is a hotel. He doesn't clearly remember anything that happened last night and thinks that he had a bad dream where his sister died and turned into a ghost, and then a hammer guy popped out of nowhere, and finally he himself had to kill the ghost of his sister with his special powers. He takes a deep sigh that the nightmare was over. But the moment he turns around, he spots the hammer guy calmly drinking tea behind him. Aori immediately asks where the hell is he, and whether they slept in the same bed. The hammer guy replies that he doesn't swing that way. So Aori asks him about Akari, and whether everything that he remembers is the truth that happened yesterday and what happened to his dear sister. The hammer guy doesn't reply, which speaks volume, and simply hands over Aori's phone back to him, and he immediately searches up his sister, only to find that no account with that name exists anymore. The hammer guy informs him that dead accounts are the result when the social media account of a deceased person gets possessed by the ghost. So when the ghost is exorcised, the dead accounts disappear automatically. Aori is heartbroken and asks whether he will never be able to talk to his sister again. And the hammer guy replies that it's kind of a common knowledge that dead people can't talk. To his surprise, Aori takes the news suspiciously well, as he smiles, claiming that it's okay if his sister died since the illness was not leaving her anyways. He claims that he made a promise to his sister that he would look after himself, so he should better start doing that, as there is no point getting all weepy and sad about something that can't be changed. The hammer guy replies that it's very obvious that Aori is simply trying to put up a front, and he finally introduces himself as Cuckoo. He starts moving out of the room and tells Aori to follow him. They soon venture out, and Aori thinks that they are at a very pricey hotel. But Cuckoo replies that they are at the Miden Academy, which is a school for exorcists. Aori can't believe that this super fancy place is actually a school and claims that the room they were in looked just like the honeymoon suite of a hotel. But Cuckoo replies that it was his own room, as every student in the school live on the campus itself. He claims that the school was built intentionally to look like a hot springs hotel, to emphasize on the fact that the students of this school cleanse the world from evil. As he walks through the campus, a blondie walks past Cuckoo and makes fun of him for dropping the ball last night and almost getting killed. But Cuckoo ignores him and moves on. The blondie goes towards his friend group, where they start talking about the newest recruit and how he is a rage bait YouTuber. One of the people in the group claim that they hate the rage bait YouTubers more than anything, as they are just as annoying as Jake Paul himself. But the blue-haired girl in the group takes a liking to Aori, thinking that he looks pretty handsome. Cuckoo gives Aori a whole tour of the school, from the cafeteria to the shops, to the reception and even the hot springs. But Aori can't believe that this is a school and continues to think that this must be a prank and this is just a hotel. Once inside the hot spring, Aori realizes that his wounds seem to be healing up at a dramatic speed, and the soothing nature of the spring starts relaxing his body, which scares him, as he might start crying for his sister if he is not careful about it. He immediately starts splashing water in his face to get out of the relaxation mode, while Cuckoo wonders where the leader is. To their surprise, the leader, named Zaki, suddenly erupts from the water with his dong flailing around. He claims that he is a monk who is also a teacher here, and shakes Aori's hand. Once inside the room, they all get dressed apart from Zaki, who stretches his body out in a towel, while Cuckoo tells him that he has shown Aori around the campus just as he was ordered and whether he can leave now. Zaki tells Cuckoo not to take this as a chore and enjoy this, but Cuckoo claims that he feels like this is the punishment for dropping the ball last night because he hates all rage bait YouTubers as much as anyone. Zaki completely ignores him and turns towards Aori, asking whether he is ready to enroll in this school now and become an exorcist. Aori is a little stunned at first, but then starts laughing alongside Zaki, thinking that this is some sort of a prank, while Cuckoo asks whether Zaki is trying to rub salt to his wound. Zaki tells Cuckoo that he is inviting Aori in good faith since he awakened his powers last night and can be an asset to the school. Aori is a little confused about the powers, so Zaki explains that the exorcist profession goes back a millennia where the exorcists have been in a constant battle against the malevolent spirits. He claims that the exorcists employ special techniques for unleashing spiritual energy known as psychokinesis. But everything went through a major evolution after the introduction of the internet a couple decades ago, which turned the cyberspace into a breeding ground for these spirits and ghosts as they started materializing through social media, which sent the exorcists into a panic as the techniques that they developed over the hundreds of years were of no use against these so-called ghost accounts. While Zaki was explaining everything though, Aori decides that he doesn't really care and stretches out before leaving the room and checks on Google Maps to see where he is and whether there is any sightseeing locations he can visit before leaving back for his home. Zaki immediately stops him, asking why the hell is he running away, and whether he is not curious about his own abilities and what exactly happened yesterday. Aori replies that he seriously doesn't want to know anything, nor is he interested in getting involved with the ghosts and exorcists business. He claims that he simply wants to go back to his own life, get a normal day job, eat healthy every single day and sleep on time if possible. He is never even going to start back his YouTube channel, as the only reason he did all that rage baiting was only to get enough money so he could help his sister through her treatment. But she is no longer in his life anymore. He has no reason to actually revive his channel or ever show his face on any social media accounts ever again. He claims that he is completely empty inside and would like to spend some time alone by himself while drinking some good boba tea. With that, he starts moving out. But Zaki catches up to him and asks whether he is not curious about what actually happened to her sister, and who is responsible for her death. This immediately catches his attention, and he turns around to face Zaki, who smiles, claiming that his sister didn't die just because of her medical condition, which was stable for so many months at that point. He claims that his sister was murdered by a very powerful ghost account. Aori's face darkens as he remembers the plea of his sister, as she begged him to help on her deathbed when she wasn't able to breathe properly. Zaki claims that the ghost account that is responsible for the death of his sister always targets people who have very strong ties to this world. And whenever these victims die, they always shed tears of blood, just like his sister did when she passed away. Angrily, Aori asks where the hell is that thing right now, and Zaki asks what the hell will he do even if he knew. Aori replies that he is going to kill that ghost account in cold blood, but Zaki simply smiles, mocking him as he claims that he can't do shit since he is too weak. This angers Aori beyond any measure, and he throws a powerful right cross towards Zaki, which gets intercepted by Cuckoo at the last moment. Aori tells Cuckoo to get out of his way right this instant, as he is going to pummel this idiot monk teacher who thinks he knows all so much about him. Cuckoo replies that he is an idiot of a teacher, but he is still his teacher. Zaki tells them all to calm down and proposes that if Aori manages to defeat Cuckoo with his current power level, he will acknowledge Aori's strength and tell him everything he knows about the ghost account which was responsible for his sister's death. Cuckoo seems to be excited about this, as he has wanted to beat the crap out of a rage bait YouTuber, and immediately takes out his hammer from his phone with a smile. But Aori doesn't really seem to care and immediately goes after Zaki once again. But he manages to dodge out of the way and starts running, shouting at Aori to fight with Cuckoo, not him, while Aori chases him, claiming that he is not here for his bullshit games, as someone he cared about the most in this whole damn world was murdered. Before he could catch on to Zaki though, he gets slammed in the back by Cuckoo, who drops him to the floor and tells him to shut the hell up, as his little misfortune doesn't make him special, as this is a very common story in this academy. Cuckoo realizes that Aori would not fight against him so easy, so he decides to rage bait the rage baiter by claiming that slamming him with a hammer felt even better than slamming his sister last night. That was enough to get Aori riled up, who gets up on his feet and tells Zaki that he will get all the details from him once he beats the crap out of this hammer idiot. With that, Aori immediately rushes towards Cuckoo and tries to elbow him, but Cuckoo manages to block that with his hammer and pushes him back. This commotion attracts all the students walking through the area, and they stop by to watch the result of this fight. Aoi immediately lunges in for another punch, but Cuckoo dodges it and the following straight that Aoi throws at him. Kyo, the goth girl, claims that this feels like a K-drama where she is forced to watch a ragebaiter and a hammer idiot who thinks he is too cool. Hyo, the puppet student, claims that it's not every day that they can see the rage bait YouTuber fight in real life. Ren is also impressed by Aori's abilities, as it is not everyone who could stand against Cuckoo in Brawl. Imo is the only person who wants to stop the fight, as it can't end up well. Back in the fight, Cuckoo hits Aoi with another hammer slam, but Aoi is not a bitch and manages to soak the damage with his block, but realizes that the strikes are very strong and one misstep can cost him the fight. Aoi decides to take a step back and dodges to make some distance, but Cuckoo throws his hammer and hits Aoi straight in the face. The commotion attracts the attention of other teachers as well, who start assembling, and even the principal herself arrives to see what the fuss is all about. One of the teachers tells the principal that they need to stop the fight at once and get Aoi out of this academy, as his reports are not good from what he read. The principal tells him to shut his bitch ass up and watch. Cuckoo tells Aoi that he is loving every moment of beating a ragebaiter up, and Aoi again screams that he only did that to save his sister. Cuckoo is not convinced though and slams him in the face, claiming that there were other ways of earning money, and he just did that because it was easy and he enjoyed doing that. Aoi stops defending himself and Cuckoo manages to pummel him again and again with his hammer before using one of his special moves, which converts his hammer into multiple copies and throws them all at Aoi, knocking him down to the ground, helpless and beaten. Zaki appears on top of him and smiles, claiming that he is a scrappy fighter, but against Cuckoo with his powers, it's like bringing a fist in a gunfight. With that, he guides Aoi to take out his phone and channel his magical energy to even out the playing field. Aoi follows his instructions and takes out his phone, and immediately a blue flame erupts out, which shocks the crap out of every single observer, including the teachers. While Zaki claims that he almost didn't believe Cuckoo yesterday when he claimed a blue demon flame. Zaki reminds Cuckoo not to touch the flame, and Aoi gets a little confused and wonders why everyone is acting so scared. Zaki tells Aoi not to worry and simply try to use it. To everyone's surprise, Aoi tries to use the flame on his feet, which gives him immense speed, but while running towards Cuckoo, he ends up tripping and falls flat on his face. Even Zaki is surprised, as Aoi was too fast for even them to see him properly and could have ended the fight if he managed to control himself. Aoi is not done yet though and rushes at Cuckoo once again, confusing him with speed, and almost connects a punch that leaves a streak of blood across Cuckoo's cheeks. This annoys Cuckoo, who starts swinging his hammer at Aoi, who dodges everything, but just as he thinks he can beat Cuckoo, he gets completely outmatched, as an angry Cuckoo increases the size of his hammer because he is a grower not a shower, and almost blasts Aoi into smithereens. Aoi barely dodges, but Cuckoo launches another attack, which would have been the end of Aoi, but Zaki jumps in between, and with the flick of his fan, he deflects the attack, telling Cuckoo that he went too far there. With that, he turns towards Aoi and apologizes for getting him all riled up. But Aoi apologizes right back and begs Zaki to take him into the academy so he can find his sister's killer. Zaki smiles after seeing the true tears of Aoi coming out finally and accepts his formally into the Miden Academy. Soon after that, Zaki gives Aoi what he wants. He shows him an old video of a team of exorcists going on a mission to erase a ghost from existence, and they freak out when they see a dead body lying in the corner. They spot a smartphone in front of him and a ghost comes out of it. The leader of the exorcists uses his phone to scan the ghost and find more details about it, and he learns that they have information about him in the database. However, the moment the information is available, the bald exorcist tells his team to run away instantly. Unfortunately, the ghost doesn't give them the chance to do that and instantly kills them with a blazing blue flame. Zaki tells Aoi that this ghost account is called Sad Boy K, and they don't know who he was when he was a real person. However, the only thing they are sure of is that he is incredibly powerful and the #1 enemy of exorcists. But more importantly, he is the ghost account that killed Aori's sister. Aoi is shocked to hear that, and even more when he realizes that the ghost uses the same blue flames as him. Zaki tells him that Sad Boy's ability is called the Demon Flame, and it is a cursed ability that steals the life force of anyone it touches. Aoi sees the faces on the victims and the tears of blood coming out of their eyes, which is exactly what happened to Akari. He asks Zaki how can he have the same ability as the guy that killed his sister. Zaki says he has no idea about that either, and that only leads to more questions in Aori's mind. He He begins to grow nervous that he was using such a deadly ability against Cuckoo, and Zaki laughs, saying that it is a good thing that no one died. Aori then asks how does he stay safe when he is surrounded by the deadly flames, and Zaki asks if a snake ever died from its own poison. All this is too much for Aori to process, and he tells Zaki that he needs to go home and take a few days to cool down and internalize his new life. However, Cuckoo and others from Class 1B come there just then and tell him that there is no way in hell he is leaving now. Zaki introduces them to Aori as his students and asks everyone to get along well with their new classmate. But Cuckoo immediately starts poking him, saying that no one wants to be classmates with a guy whose flames could kill them easily, but they have to watch over him so that he doesn't turn into a villain. Cuckoo calls the entire situation a flaming pile of shit, but then a blonde guy named Ren pushes him to the side and introduces himself to Aori. He tells him not to mind Cuckoo too much, because he is actually a nice guy after you get to know him. After that, a talking doll named Hajime comes forward and tells Aori that Cuckoo is just mad because he landed a hit on him. Aori freaks out on seeing Annabelle's cousin, but she tells him that she live streams games and they should do a collab someday. Ren immediately tells Aori to get ready for a selfie, while the rest of his classmates watch the chaotic people living their lives. With that, Zaki tells Aori that he needs to pass one more test before he becomes a full-fledged exorcist. He takes him to the training room where a golden device is ready to measure his combat abilities. Zaki tells Aori that if he passes this test, he will be sent out on the field as an exorcist, and he will run into Sad Boy K sooner or later. Aori gets fired up at the idea of facing his sister's killer, and he tells Zaki to start the test. Zaki presses a button, and two pink jennies pop out of the golden lamp. Zaki tells Aori that they are artificial spirits used to train exorcists, and he needs to beat 100 of them if he wants to pass the test. He warns him not to underestimate the artificial spirits, but Aori is confident that he can beat any enemy. He pulls out his blue flame sword from his smartphone and makes quick work of the first spirit that attacks him. But Zaki ends the test with that. Aori asks him why he stopped, and he realizes the answer the very next moment. He starts feeling dizzy and loses his balance, and Zaki tells him to look at his phone's battery because that is synced with his spiritual power. The battery has reached 0, which means Aori has used up all his spiritual power, and now he is as useless as a dead phone. Aori collapses with that, and when he wakes up, he finds everyone having a fancy dinner in the traditional Japanese way. Zaki tells him that he was already tired after his fight with Cuckoo, and the test was just a setup to make him experience how it feels to run out of battery. Aori understands it now, but what confuses him is how it is dinner time already when he wasn't passed out for long. Zaki tells him that once his battery runs out, he will stay unconscious for about 5 hours, and during that time, he won't wake up no matter what. On the field, that will get him killed, and even if he survives, he will still drag his team down if he becomes a vegetable. Aori feels that he has too much to learn, but Zaki asks him not to get disappointed that he finished so quickly, because it just shows how powerful his ability is. Aori is still feeling dejected about that, and Zaki tells him to eat to regain his strength. He tells him that the big test is in a week, and he only gets one shot, so he should not fail, otherwise he will be captured and tortured. Aori is horrified at this, and Zaki says that a lot of people here think that he must be related to Sad Boy, who has killed countless exorcists, and they want revenge on him desperately. If Aori fails to become an exorcist, he will be labeled a danger and dealt with, so he should work hard and pass the test. With that, everyone goes to their rooms, and Aori asks Cuckoo where is his room. Cuckoo tells him not to be stupid, because they are not going to let a ticking bomb like him stay unsupervised. Aori is going to share a room with Cuckoo, who is not at all pleased to do that. But someone has got to take responsibility. Suddenly, Aori starts staring at him with a dissatisfied expression on his face, and Cuckoo thinks that he is just not happy to share the room with him. However, Aori bows before him and requests him to train him so that he can pass the test in a week. Cuckoo spits out his tea on hearing this and asks what kind of ragebaiter bows down like this to a guy who beat him. Aori tells him that he has no pride and he accepts that Cuckoo is much stronger than him, so he needs his help. Cuckoo is taken aback at his humility and tells him that he was going to train him either way because Zaki ordered him to do it. Earlier, when Aori passed out at the training hall, Zaki told Cuckoo that he would train him, and he was really against the idea because he hates ragebaiters from the bottom of his heart, while Loki being one. Zaki just told him that it would be the best thing not only for Aori but for Cuckoo too, and in the end, he accepted the order. Now, as they brush together like a couple that has just started living together, Cuckoo Loki hopes that Aoi is a coward who gets afraid of the test and runs away. The next day, Aoi challenges the pink Jennies again and he runs out of battery very rapidly. Cuckoo tells him that he is going full throttle from the beginning and tells him to restrain his power more. Aoi has no idea how to do that, and Cuckoo tells him to imagine something like reducing the flame of a lighter or putting out a campfire. But if he can imagine something more unique and personal, it will work better. Aoi can't do that, and in the end, he collapses after defeating 35 training spirits. The next day, Ren, Hajime, and the other blondie decide to see Aori's progress, and they are impressed that he can reach the 30s so easily despite just awakening 2 days ago. However, he collapses at 31, so he thinks of a unique idea the next day. He pumps himself full of caffeine so that he doesn't fall asleep. But even then, he can only beat 41 practice dummies. The next day, he becomes more efficient and beats 49 dummies, and even the goth baddie decides to see what he is up to. No matter what Aoi does, he cannot even cross the halfway mark, and Cuckoo keeps telling him to imagine something that helps him control his power. Even by the end of the 6th day, Aoi has made no progress, and he decides to distract himself from it by eating some stuffed buns. Cuckoo asks how can he be so carefree when the big test is tomorrow? Because Zaki was not lying when he said that the people here are going to torture and kill him if he fails. Cuckoo starts look-maxing as he tells Aoi that he will be nothing but bones when people are done with him. And that reminds Aoi of something. He says that he needs to go home immediately, and Cuckoo thinks that he is finally going to chicken out right before the main event. However, Aoi is only concerned that he left his room's door open when Cuckoo attacked him, and Akari's pictures and remains are lying in the open. He feels that some pervert might try to steal them. But Cuckoo thinks that this is just an excuse to run away. Aoi tells him that he is not going to run away, because his only goal in life is to get revenge for his sister. The next day, it is time for his final test, and everyone from the school has assembled to watch it. The teachers who hate Aoi for his abilities are sure that he will fail, and they will dispose of him. And they start the test with a mean smirk on their face. Aoi begins defeating the artificial spirits quickly with his flame sword. But he still can't control its power and drops to 30% battery even before he has defeated 30 of the spirits. His classmates cheer on him to do his best, but then something inside Cuckoo snaps and he starts dissing Aoi. He calls him a piece of shit ragebaiter who is all talk and no show. His classmates turn against him and ask what the hell is he doing. But Cuckoo continues to ragebait a professional ragebaiter with a smug smile on his face. Soon, the people who hate Aoi also join the bandwagon and start cursing him loudly. They tell him to hurry up and fail already. But Aoi keeps defeating the artificial spirits while enduring their insults. All this reminds him of the time he first started making ragebait content, and the negative comments he got scared him to death. He thought about giving up. But whenever he saw his sister coughing blood, he realized that nothing could scare him more than that. He was ready to do anything to earn enough money to treat her. And in that moment, he began seeing his haters as the people who are helping him earn money through their hate. That moment helped him control his emotions, and Aoi is able to use the same feeling to channel his power properly. His flame sword becomes smaller and sharper, and he manages to defeat 100 practice dummies without passing out. No one can believe their eyes when they see this, but Zaki realizes the brilliance of Cuckoo's plan. Cuckoo deliberately turned the crowd against Aoi, letting him get into the correct headspace as a ragebaiter, and that is how he was able to control his power. However, the dude with long hair who hates Aoi the most can't stomach this result, and he activates the machine again, summoning up the most powerful version of the test dummies. Coincidentally, Aoi was also not satisfied by clearing the tests, and he lets out his wild side by demolishing the strong spirits as well. He eventually defeats 161 spirits, and then the machine runs out of power. Everyone is surprised because Aoi just broke the record for the most spirits defeated in a test, and Zaki praises himself for pairing Aoi with Cuckoo. The next day, Aoi officially starts school, and he is shocked to realize that they have to study normie subjects too. Once the class finishes, Ren tells him to feel free to ask for help if he ever feels stuck, and he immediately proceeds to take a selfie. Hajime comes there for the next selfie and asks the blonde dude Emo to join them as well. While Emo explains that he is camera shy, Aoi begins wondering what abilities each of them have. Hajime says that she is glad he didn't get tortured, and he says that it is all thanks to Cuckoo. He turns around to thank him properly, but Cuckoo is pissed after seeing Aoi go berserk yesterday. He accuses him of being another ragebaiter who thrives when people are angry at him. Aoi says that it is not like that, but then the goth Yuru tells both of them to shut up. She says that anyone with offensive abilities has a terrible personality, and that includes Cuckoo too. Cuckoo is offended that Yuru put him and Aoi in the same category. He tells her to take it back, and they start telling each other to piss off. Just then, Zaki comes there to tell them that he has got a mission for them, and he is going to let Aoi pop his cherry with this one. He then wonders who to send along with him because exorcism is all about teamwork. And as soon as he sees Cuckoo and Yuru still bickering with each other, he gets an idea to put them on the same team. That very night, Aoi, Cuckoo, and Yuru are sent on the mission in a van where they soon arrive at a camera studio or something. They wonder why the hell they are there, when suddenly a blonde man sneaks up on them with a really hot secretary and starts talking. He tells Aoi that this is where they will have to start working and asks whether he knows anything about these tech hubs. Aoi is confused and asks who the hell is he. That's when the blondie reveals that he is none other than Zaki himself in a disguise, since he sticks out too much in his monk clothes. He then was about to start explaining the mission to them, when suddenly a group of 3 young women approach Zaki and start calling him handsome and tall. Zaki is a little surprised and overwhelmed as they start asking his number and offer to go on a dinner date. Zaki tries to mumble that he is a monk who has sworn off the materialistic things on earth. But some materialistic things can never change as he observes the big juicy personalities of the girls and melts while the girls manage to take him off for dinner and some cardio later. Aoi thinks about how some people are dying of thirst while others are drowning in a river from the Himalayas. The hot secretary named Kiko that arrived with Zaki realizes that she will have to deal with everything now and tells the students to listen very carefully. She claims that they started picking up signals of spirits about an hour ago from the pig camera building where one customer was badly injured. She claims that they might be dealing with a group of ghost accounts here. This confuses Aoi, and he asks whether the dead accounts swarm like bees or something. But Cuckoo tells him that ghost accounts are digital beings, which means that they need to recharge periodically, otherwise they will cease to exist. That's why electronic stores inevitably become the hotspots of paranormal activity. Before Aoi could even process all that information, Yuru speaks up and angrily demands once again to know the reason why she was put in the same team with these 2 losers, claiming that it feels like a personal attack on her. Cuckoo doesn't really care about her remarks, but Aoi tries to defend himself, claiming that Cuckoo is a weirdo, but he himself is as normal as they come and is nothing like Cuckoo. Yuru tells him to shut up as normal guys don't laugh when they are going berserk. She then starts looking at her phone, realizing that her favorite streamer is going to start streaming soon, and if she doesn't send him loads of super chat, he will end up forgetting her. Aoi is confused at this behavior as she should care more about the mission rather than her streamer. Yuru tells him to shut his bunghole as she never even wanted to be an exorcist in the first place. But Kiko cuts her out, telling them all to focus on the mission. She tells them that their mission will be to get rid of all the spirits inside the building and informs them that they have already removed all the customers and employees, so that shouldn't be a problem. Moreover, according to their data, only low-level accounts are inside the building right now, so they shouldn't have any issues dealing with them, but tells them to stay alert and watch their backs at all times. Soon they enter the storefront, which is completely deserted. Aoi feels weird as he has never seen an electronics store so empty. But Yuru tells him to keep up as she would like to end this farce as soon as possible and go back home. Aoi feels a little jumpy and nervous, so he tells Yuru to be more careful and less nonchalant. But before he could complete his sentence, a ghost appears behind Yuru and tries to touch her. Aoi's voice gets stuck in his throat out of panic, but Yuru doesn't even skip a beat and easily sidesteps the attack before taking her phone out and activates her special ability, which changes her hand into a weird, scary-looking gun. She immediately uses it to shoot a gooey thing at the spirit, which gets caught in the gummy substance and gets stuck in place. Aoi is impressed to see such a weird ability, but Cuckoo tells him to not get too close to her as she is a certified stalker. He claims that she is a fangirl of some K-pop band group and is in a parasocial relationship with one of the members. He claims that she follows him at every single place, likes all of his pictures, zooms in on them to find every minor detail, which gives her an idea about where that person is, and she even checks the reflections in his eye to make sure that there is no woman around him. She also has countless accounts that she made in order to bypass the ID bans she kept getting for being creepy. Cuckoo tells him not to get too friendly with her as she is a delusional, extra clingy piece of shit. Yuru hears all this and tells them not to call the guy she loves just a K-pop member. She claims that his name is Kirihiro, and she is not a stalker in a parasocial relationship. Her love is the purest form of love there is, and no one can come in between them. With that, the spirit she captured explodes and the goo returns back to her. Cuckoo claims that case in point, Yuru is a weirdo and the abilities and skills of an exorcist depends heavily upon the way they use their phone as well. This suddenly makes him realize that the reason why he has fire abilities is because he is a rage baiter who used most of his time and phone to make people angry at him. Before he could properly understand the concept though, Yuru turns towards him and shoots her goo at him. He is shocked and unable to move, but it turns out that there was a spirit behind him which Yuru stopped. And without a single word, Cuckoo also jumps in with his hammer, destroying that ghost, after which they stand back to back, ready to face the ghosts. Aoi is shocked as just moments ago both Cuckoo and Yuru were at each other's throats, but suddenly they are moving with such synergy that it looks like they are the best of friends. The moment he sees them destroying a bunch of ghosts makes him realize that these two must have done the same thing thousands of times. And after working together as a team for so long, they don't have to think about the other person's movements or position anymore. That's when he realizes why teamwork is so important in this profession. Suddenly, a ghost appears behind Yuru and Cuckoo, so without hesitation, Aoi jumps in between them, missing them by inches and grabs his flame, destroying the spirit in an instant. He turns around to them smiling, claiming that he knows what teamwork is. But instead of getting praised, they tell him to be more careful as he could have easily killed them with his ability. While they were bickering about that, a couple of thieves seem to have broken into the store and are quickly stealing everything they can, thinking that they have hit it big since there is not a single soul in the store right now. But while they were busy putting everything they can into a bag, one of the bald thief gets yeeted by a ghost, and when the other thief looks up, he is horrified to see a giant ghost who has the baldy in its long nailed hand. Back in the other part of the store, Yuru complains about how she never wanted to be an exorcist, since she is a lover not a fighter. But she had no choice, as this was the only thing that she was good at. Moreover, she also needs money to support her weird dedication of sending a bunch of super chats to her favorite streamer, which leaves her no choice but to take up these dangerous jobs no matter how lame they are. She continues to use her goo gun to stop and bind every single ghost in her way, while Cuckoo uses his hammer to destroy them one by one. As he screams at Aoi to stop yapping and get to work, Yuru starts getting mad at Cuckoo once again, claiming that she is not compatible with any of the attack-type exorcist, and amongst them she finds Cuckoo especially annoying. Even while they were arguing, they don't miss a single beat and destroy another ghost with ease. That's when Yuru turns towards Aoi and tells him that even though Cuckoo is a piece of shit, his abilities are top-notch as an attack-type exorcist, which means that they don't need any more of them in the class, especially a blue flame-wielding one. Soon enough, they reach the final floor of the building where they immediately find the two thieves dead, hanging from the ceiling. Aoi is shocked, but Yuru soon spots the spirit and attacks her with her goo while Cuckoo runs at it and smacks it with his hammer. To their surprise though, the spirit doesn't even get a scratch and turns around before telling them to piss off as she was just decorating a doll she had. Cuckoo immediately realizes that something is wrong, and this is not a normal spirit. He realizes that they were only expecting low-level spirits and are not ready for a spirit of this grade, so he tells Yuru to back off, claiming that they need to leave immediately, but Yuru refuses, thinking that she has already captured the spirit, so it's only a matter of time till they exorcise it. But she completely underestimated the strength of the enemy, as the spirit easily breaks through the goo and manages to snatch Yuru from the ground, bringing her close to its face, claiming that she is going to make Yuru beautiful as well. Cuckoo immediately rushes at it with his hammer and strikes the spirit with all his might. But the spirit immediately heals and smacks Cuckoo away in an instant. When the dust clears, Aoi finds Cuckoo lying on a teddy bear. He immediately asks what the hell is happening and why this ghost is so strong. Cuckoo tells him that some of the ghost accounts can have special abilities known as curses. This ghost account seems to be a curse one, which doesn't come under the category of a low-level spirit. He claims that this spirit is definitely either a mid or a high-level ghost account, and usually they would for a special team and formulate a plan before sending the team to finish the account. But right now they have nothing, and if it keeps going on like this, very soon all three of them would be dead. Aoi turns his gaze towards the struggling Yuru, who gets her arms snapped like a twig, and her screams die out when the ghost slams her into the ground, knocking her out. Cuckoo tells Aoi to run as he will only be a distraction at this point. The ghost starts squeezing Yuru's head in, so Cuckoo uses his hammer attack to try and stop it. But her regeneration power is too high and it doesn't affect her. Just then, Aoi throws a teddy bear covered with demon flames and hits the ghost in the arm, causing her to drop Yuru. Cuckoo catches her and they all immediately start running away. They quickly hide on the lower floors when Cuckoo notices something and grabs Aori's arm, which was still burning with the demon flame. Aori gets horrified as he has seen what it does to the living people, but nothing happens to Cuckoo. He claims that if his theory is correct, the effects of the demon flame have been reversed since a human is wielding it, making it completely harmless to humans while fatal to the demons. He points at the giant ghost whose hand still hasn't healed from Aori's attack. They formulate a plan where Aori attacks the ghost from behind, causing an open wound that doesn't regenerate, and Cuckoo follows it up by spamming his hammer at it, causing a ton of damage. Angry, the ghost becomes a Beyblade, flinging Aori into the wall. The ghost soon corners them, but instead of feeling scared, Aori feels adrenaline building up in him, and he starts getting excited for the fight. He flings another fiery teddy at the ghost, but it dodges and grabs Aori out of position. She would have finished him then and there if not for Yuru, who gets up and shoots her goo at the ghost. Angry that her stream is already started, she tells the others to finish it off quickly as she has a streak of being the first super chat to Kuraha. Aori and Cuckoo immediately get to work, smacking the hell out of the ghost account who tries to break free of the goo. But just then Kiriha gets a super chat from some other girl. This pisses Yuru off and her grip tightens around the ghost's body. They quickly start attacking the spirit from all angles and finally land a killing blow, exorcising the spirit for good. They all feel relieved as none of them has ever defeated a mid-ranked spirit before, and Cuckoo claims that they need to head back and report everything as soon as possible. While they were leaving though, suddenly Aori senses something behind him. But before he could even turn around, Yuru and Cuckoo both start crying bloody tears and drop to the floor unmoving as from one of the TV sets nearby the spirit of the sad boy account appears, ready to face off with another demon flame user. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.